Welcome back, guys. I've been watching this thing on YouTube about this culture that they call van life, right? And I was wondering, I seen these people buying all these vans, right? And convert it into a living off, living off live off the road, right? Van life. You know what I'm talking about. Just search this on YouTube, you can find it, right? But the thing is, like, I mean, is this a really optimal way of living? I mean, I know the economy isn't as good as what people perceive to be, but the amount of money people are putting into these vans is up to thousands and thousands of dollars, right? And I wondered myself, wouldn't it be a better investment? Yeah, I know the economy is in the tank right now, right? But wouldn't it be a better way to put these money into something else better than converting a van into a house, right? They convert and it costs them thousands of dollars. Why don't you use that money to make good investment choices, right? Good investment choices, or start a business, a small scale business, so you can support your lifestyle and maybe make enough money to get an apartment and save enough money to buy land. That'd be more practical, right? Why don't you just buy land and build a house, build a shelter on that land? It seems very impractical just to buy a $30,000 van. Some of these people bought it brand new, not 30,000, even more than that, 50 grand, right? They bought it brand new. They put more money into it to turn it into a house, which I find it very impractical. I'm not trying to shoot on this community, right? But I'm just asking questions, and I just can't see the practicality in that. You buy this van, which is up to $50,000 or higher, right? And then you spend another $20,000, convert it into a house. And I look at it, how is that practical when you could already buy an RV that's already set up for mobile living, right? If you had that much disposable income to convert a van into a mobile home, what's stopping you from buying an RV when it already have that amenity? You could buy as what was that called? A jet stream, right? For that amount of money. But regardless of that, why would you want to live in a van? I'm not trying to shoot on this community. I mean, they probably have that reason, but I don't see any practical reason of doing that. If I were with them, wouldn't it be practical if they just buy some land, right? Because look, when you live in a van, you got to worry about gases, right? Gases is getting high. You got to worry about insurance for that van. You got to worry about theft, people breaking into it. I know this stuff could happen when you have your own house, but look, people can steal your own house if you live in a van. People can steal that. Not only that, you got to worry about wear and tear if you keep driving it. What if the engine blow up? Now you got to buy a new engine on top of it. Now you spend more $1,000 on it when you can focus that money onto your own land. Right? Buy some raw piece of land. They can say like, oh, you got to be careful when you buy a piece of land. Of course, like everything in life, you have to do the research. I'm sure these people who live in a van life that did the research, right? It probably makes sense to them, but for me, it doesn't make sense, right? I just don't see it. I don't see the practicality of it. Not only that, they incorporate things in van that I don't see. What's the purpose of that? I see them put like a sink in the van. Like, why do you need a sink in a van? Like, couldn't you just use like a jug of water and just wash your hand and just save yourself some space without installing a sink? Some people need a sink in their van. I don't see that. You live in a van anyway, your mobile location. Not only that, you gotta worry about parking your van too. Not all places allow this stuff, right? You gotta it's like a vagabond moving places to places, right? I don't see any practical way of living like this. I mean, if it's the job, if it's a job and you have all this disposable income to buy a van, why don't you relocate to another part, a cheaper place of living, rent yourself a small apartment and find a different job, a career, and just build up your income, right? I don't see a van living as a viable choice. Look, you spend that much money on a van anyway. Some people out there feel like, I mean, there are downside of this living thing. Some people say sometimes they feel like homeless. Well, technically, you are homeless. You don't have a home. You have a van, right? You have to worry about all these stuff that's involved in van life. All these possibilities. What's going to happen? You got to worry about theft and all that stuff, right? When you could just have a home. I understand rent is expensive, but we live in a free market economy. You could just move to another places, right? And plus, if you're a freelancer, that's even better because you're not bounded by your job. You just move to another locations and just live frugally. I see this van life, right? This van life, they live in the van, but yet again, they refuse to live frugally. They buy all these expensive amenities. Some people out there have a computer, full-blown computer, gaming into their van, right? They have, surely they have the income to provide it. Why don't you just buy or lease an apartment? To me, it seems very impractical. This van life, it seems to me that people over sensationalizing it. Right? I don't see any. What happened if you're in a snowstorm? What happened if you're in a flood? What happened if you have exposed yourself to a natural element? What happened if you're in a hailstorm? What happened if your window break? Right? What happened? All this stuff. And I've seen people, YouTubers, right, sensationalizing this. Right? Try fool other people that this is the way to live. And what happened? Some people actually bought into this lifestyle and they regret it, right? They don't want to do this anymore. They revert back to their regular lifestyle, right? It doesn't make any sense. It make more practical sense if they were to invest all the money they spent into a business, right? And try and make more income from their business. Or take that money, buy land with that. Invest in land or something that's return in value, right? But they don't think like that, and I'm guessing most of these people, they're followers. I don't know. I don't get it, man. It's just, and that's what's the problem. People seeing this thing and they think it's a trend. They think, it is a trend. They think it's a viable, a solution. I don't think it's a solution. I think it's a temporary fix for a long-term problem. I don't think housing is the issue. I don't think rent's the issue when they decide to live in vans. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. I'm not. I don't. Some of these people. I'm not. I don't know their lifestyle. I don't know the back history. Maybe they have a reason. Right? Maybe they have a reason. Right? But for me, I can't see myself doing that. Right? I see myself either buy a plot of land and just build a small house on top of that land. For some of these van lifers, that's what they did, right? They buy a plot of land, they park their van there. But if you're gonna do that, why don't you just build yourself a small cottages, right? A small cabin. That seems more practical, right? Well, what about a cabin in the woods? What about that? Right? At least you could well insulate it, or at least it's fixed to a ground. With a van, you're on wheels. What if there's a mudslide or something like that? It just, I don't know. It's just, I think it's a scam, right? I think people could do better research on this. I think people should just stop over sensationalizing this. I understand that rent and all the economy is not in a good position right now, but I don't think the solution is van life solutions. I really don't. It's a recreational thing. I can see that. People could do it recreationally, traveling the world, then come back to their own home. I see that, but when I see like these channels pushing this thing, right? I think it's just over sensationalizing it. They make it seem like it's better than it. They make it seem like that it's better than what it really is. People aren't seeing the full dynamic of living in a van. At some point, they're gonna revert back to living in a normal house. They're gonna revert back to normal society, right? It doesn't make any sense to me to live in a van. This van life craze. I think is a fad. I think people will come to their senses and realize that it's not optimal. It's not an optimal way of living. They could use all that money that they spent on the van, up to $50,000 on the van, and more grand just renovating it into a house, when they could use that money in the beginning to channel it to something more productive like a business. But that's what I think. I could have just done that, used all that money, pay off, my debts, right? Invested into a business and make my money like that, and start hustling instead of just give up on. That's why I see it. That's why I see it as it is. I just see it as giving up on life. There's other way of leaving the rat race instead of just living in a van. You just move to the move to Ecuador and just buy yourself a plot of land, right, and get yourself out the grid and build a house right there instead of living in a van. Instead of living in a van, But I don't know. That's what I think. I don't think it's optimal. I think it's like a scam. People are over sensationalizing this. They could use the money that they start the van to for better resources, better direction. But let me know what you think. Am I missing something? Like, share, subscribe. Um, um, I'll check you back. I'll check you back in another video. As always, peace and blessing, and have a good day.